Hi everyone, hope you all are good. We are here for grade 9. You can find all the lessons on aplusstudents.com. You have to log in there using your email address and password as provided by the administrator. Then you have to select math from the subject tab. Scroll down to grade 9 and then click on view all lessons. So there you can find the list of the chapters. We're going to start with the chapter probability, and the lessons we're going to cover are identify independent and dependent events, theoretical probability, experimental probability, and compound events find the number of outcomes. So let's just start with the first lesson, that is identify independent and dependent events. First, let's just see what are the dependent and independent events. So what do you know about the dependent events? So two events are you can note down the definitions, right? Please make sure you have your notebook and pencil so that you can note down the important examples and definitions as well. Okay, two events are independent. Okay, two events are independent if the outcome of the first event does not affect the outcome of the seven. What happened to the pen? Does not affect the outcome of the second event, right? That is the definition of the independent event, right? Okay, so for example, the example of the independent event, right? The example of the independent event is, for example, Pamela took a coin out of his pocket and flipped it. Then he flipped again, right? He flipped a coin two times, right? First time she picked a coin from her pocket and then flipped the coin, and then she flipped the coin another time, right? So that is the example of the independent events, right? The outcome of the first event doesn't dependent on the second event, right? And the second one is the two events are dependent if the outcome of the first event affect the outcome of the second event. For example, affect the outcome of the second event. Okay, for example, you have a bag of marbles, right? You picked a marble for the first time. You didn't put the marble back and you are going to take another marble from the bag. That is the dependent event. How? For the first time, when you are going to pick the marbles, there are 10 marbles, right? You picked one, now you are left with 9. For the second time, when you are going to pick the marble, you have now 9 marbles, not the same 10 marbles, because one of the marble is already picked. You have now only 9 options to pick the marble, right? So that is the example of the dependent event. Let's just start with the examples and see. Okay, let's just start with the test questions. Okay, Steve calls a bakery and order a custom cake with a certain design. Later that day, Brace calls to order a custom cake. Are these two events dependent or independent? Which is the correct? And he asks for the custom cake. So the outcome of both the events is same. It doesn't matter, right? So these are the events that are independent. The correct option is independent. Okay, Laura pulls a coin out of her pocket and places it on the table. Then she reaches back into her pocket and takes out a second coin. Are these two events dependent or independent? Which is the correct option? What do you think? Which is the correct option? Okay, for example, when first time she's going to pull the coin from her pocket, she have 3 coins in the pocket, right? She pulled one coin and place it on the table. For the second time when she is going to pick the coin from her pocket, she have now only 2 coins, right? So for the first time she have 3 coins, and for the second time she have 2 coins to select. That means that is the dependent event, because because the outcome of the first event is 3 and outcome of the second event is 2. So that means they are the dependent events, because the output of the first event affect the output of the outcome of the second event, right? Okay, very good. Okay, Kenny picks a marble at random, puts it back, and then picks another marble at random. Are these two events dependent or independent? Which is the correct option? Okay, for example, in the bag, he have 5 marbles. For the first time, he have 5 options to select a marble, right? He selected a marble, then put it back. For the second time, again, he have all the 5 marbles to select with, because he put the first marble back. So that means that is the independent event. So they are the dependent events. No independent, because she put back. Okay, Ella pick a marble at random. Without putting back the marble back, she picks a second marble at random. So that is the dependent event, because for the first time, for example, she have 5 options to select a marble. She didn't put the marble back. So for the second time, she have 4 options to select a marble. So the outcome of the first event affect the outcome of the second event. So that means that is the dependent events, right? Garrett is making a beaded necklace and plans to use each bead color once. Garrett select a red bead and then reaches for another color. Are these two events independent or dependent? He decided to pick every color once, right? The red one he have selected. Now he have the options that doesn't have red. So that is the dependent event. In a card game, Wilson picks a card from a deck but doesn't put the card back into the deck. Afterward, John picks a card from the deck. Are these two events dependent or independent? What do you think? Which is the correct option? So they are the dependent events because he does not put the card back, so they are the dependent events, right? Okay, you can complete the lesson by yourself later today. Let me just move on to next lesson. Okay, the next lesson is theoretical probability. Okay, you spin the spinner once. What is the prime or factor of 70? Simplify your answer and write it as a fraction or whole number. Okay, so the prime number only here is 5, right? And the factor of 70 only is 5, right? That means the probability for prime or the factor of 70 is 1 out of 3, right? The correct option is the probability is the number of favorable outcomes out of the number of possible outcomes, right? The only factor of prime number are 1 and itself. A number is a factor 70 if you when you divide 70 by the number the remainder is 0. Okay, let's just start with the practice questions. Okay, you spin the spinner once. What is the probability of prime or factor of 70? That's the one we just did. The correct option is 1 over 3, right? Okay, you pick a card at random. What is the probability of blue? So, how many cards are blue? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. The total cards are 11, right? The probability to select blue is you have 6 options to select blue. That would be 6 out of 11, right? The second option is the correct one. That would be 6 out of 11. Okay, you flip a coin. What is the probability of tails? Write your answer as a percentage. So, which is the correct option? When you flip a coin, you have 50% chance to have tail and 50% to have head. That is 50%, right? Okay, the next one is you spin the spinner once. What is the probability of prime? Write your answer as a percentage. You have three of the numbers are prime, right? The total numbers on the spinner are four. Three of them are prime, two, three, and five, right? That means 75% of the numbers are prime. Got it? Okay. You roll a six-sided die. What is the probability of odd? Which is the correct option? When you roll a six-sided die, you have six numbers on the die, right? They are one, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. The odd numbers are 2, 4, and 6. Three of the numbers are odd out of the 6. Three are odd, three are even. That means 50% of the numbers are odd and 50% of the numbers are even. The correct option is 50%. Okay, you pick a marble at random. What is the probability of purple? Which is the correct option? Okay, the total marbles are four, right? Two of them are purple and two of them are other colors. That means 50% of the marbles are purple. The correct option is 50%. You spin the spinner once. What is the probability of yellow? The spinner has total five positions, right? Two of them are yellow. So the probability of yellow is 2 out of 5. The correct option is 2 out of 5, right? Okay, you can complete the lesson by yourself later today. Let me just move on to next lesson. So if you need more help with the lesson, you can contact any tutor on the Skype. They are available from Monday to Friday, 5 to 9, right? The next one is experimental probability. Let's just start with the next lesson. Okay, let's just start with an example. Yesterday, a car rental agency rented 12 vehicles, of which three were pickup trucks. What is the experimental probability that the first vehicle rented today will be a pickup truck? Okay, the total vehicles are 12. So the one Yesterday they selected three were trucks. So the probability of pickup truck is 3 out divided by 12, right? That means it is 1 out of 4. Okay, let's just start with the test questions. Sasha is watching a baseball game. So far, 2 out of 4 batters have gotten a hit. What is the experimental probability that the next batter will get a hit? Okay, the total outcomes are 4, right? And 2 of them gotten a hit. So that would be 2 out of 4. The total hit are 4. It would be 2 out of 4. When you simplify it is 1 out of 2. The correct option is 1 out of 2. The second option is the correct one. Okay, out of the 12 contestant on a game show, 8 won a prize. What is the experimental probability that the next contestant will win a prize? So, which is the correct option? The total contestants are 12, right? 8 of them won a prize. Just simplify them. 4 times 2 is 8, 4 times 3 is 12. So the probability is 2 out of 3, right? The correct option is 2 out of 3. Yesterday, a car rental agency rented 12 vehicles, of which 3 were pickup trucks. What is the experimental probability that the first vehicle rented today will be a pickup truck? So, which is the correct option? That would be 3 out of 12 and 1 out of 4. The correct option is 1 out of 4. Restaurant often slip takeout menus under Jamal's apartment door. So far, Jamal has collected 20 menus, including 10 of the Japanese food. What is the experimental probability that the next menu slipped under Jamal's food door will be from a Japanese restaurant? So, which is the correct option? The correct option is 1 out of 2. The correct option is 1 out of 2, right? Shelby scored a goal on 5 out of her last 20 shots. What is the experimental probability that Shelby will score a goal on her next shot? Which is the correct option? The total shots are 20, right? And only 5 of them, Shelby scored 5 of them. So that would be 5 out of 20. And when you simplify, yes, very good, it would be 1 out of 4. The correct option is 1 out of 4. A factory inspector found flaws in 3 out of 18 wooden boxes. What is the experimental probability that the next wooden boxes will be flawed? Which is the correct option? The correct option is yes, that would be 1 out of 6. Very good. The correct option is 1 out of 6. Kelsey's pie shop recently sold 12 pies, of which 4 were blueberry pies. What is the experimental probability that the next pie sold will be a blueberry pie? Which is the correct option? Very good. The correct option is 1 out of 3. Out of 15 people who have taken their seats at the seminar, 3 have red hair. What is the experimental probability that the next person to take a seat will have a red hair? Which is the correct option? The correct option is yes, that would be 1 out of 5. The correct option is 1 out of 5. Okay, you can complete the lesson by yourself later today. Let's just move on to next lesson. The next lesson is compound event, find the number of outcomes. Now, compound event means more than one event, right? So, now you are given two events. You have to find the probability of two events. Let's just start with the first example. You roll a die and pick a marble. How many outcomes are possible? So you have to find the outcomes of the outcome of the two events together, right? One of them is a die and the other one two marbles. The outcome for die, when you roll a die, you have six possible outcomes, right? One, two, three, four, five, six. And you have two marbles. They are purple and brown. So when you have to calculate the outcomes compound event, but you have to multiply the this one has six outcomes, this one has two, so that means the total possible outcomes are 12. Got it? You can see here the tree diagram. There you can have a tree diagram here. Like when you roll a die, the die has one. You have two possibilities, either you select brown or either you select pink purple marble, right? When you roll a die again, when you for example, you have two on the die, you have two options, either you select brown, either you select purple. So this way the total outcomes are 12, right? So when you have to calculate the outcomes of the compound events, you just have to multiply the outcomes of both the events, right? Okay, for example, you roll a die and pick a card. How many outcomes are possible? For a die you have six outcomes and you have two cards. So, how many outcomes they have? 12, right? They have 6 times 2, 12 outcomes. The correct option is 12. Got it? Very good. Okay, you pick a card and spin the spinner. How many outcomes are possible? Which is the correct option? You have 6 outcomes for the card and one, 2, 3, 4 outcomes for the spinner. So, the total outcomes are very good, 24. The correct option is 24. Okay, you spin the spinner and flip a coin. How many outcomes are possible? So, which is the correct option? 8. You have 4 outcomes for the spinner and 2 for the coin. So, the total outcomes are 8. Very good. Okay, you pick a card and pick a marble. How many outcomes are possible? Which is the correct option? 3 outcomes for the card and 4 for the marble. So, you have to do 3 times 4. 3 times 4 is very good. That would be 12. You spin the spinner and flip a coin. How many outcomes are possible? Which is the correct option? 5 times 2, there are 10 outcomes. The possible outcomes for both the events are 10. Okay, you spin the spinner and pick a card. How many outcomes are possible? Which is the correct option? For the spinner, you have two outcomes and you have seven cards. So the total outcomes are, yes, that would be 14. The correct option is 14. You roll a die and flip a coin. How many outcomes are possible? Which is the correct option? The correct option is 12. You spin the spinner and roll a die. How many outcomes are possible? Which is the correct option? The correct option is 30 outcomes, right? You have 6 outcomes from the die and 5 for the spinner. So that would be 6 times 5. The total outcomes are 30. You roll a die and pick a marble. How many outcomes are possible? So which is the correct option? The correct option is, yes, that would be 20. 4 times 5, that is 20. 24? Oh, yes, 6 times 4 is 24, not 20, sorry. You spin the spinner and roll a die. How many outcomes are possible? Which is the correct option? The correct option is, yes, that would be 6 times 2, that is 12, right? Okay, you can complete the lesson by yourself later today. So, we were working on grade 9 math. Chapter we're working on is probability. And the lessons we have covered today are identify independent and dependent events, theoretical probability, experimental probability, compound events, find the number of outcomes. So please make sure before the next session you can complete all the practice questions for the lessons we did today. If you need more help with any of the lesson, you can contact any tutor on the Skype. They are available from Monday to Friday, 5 to 9. So if you need more help with any of the lesson, you can contact any tutor on the Skype. They are available from Monday to Friday, 5 to 9, or either you can join me in the interactive session that would be daily from 4 to 5 and from 9 to 10. right? So that's all for today. See you in the next session. Bye, everyone.